Tony, thank you very much for joining us. So give me your overall thesis around the idea of AI debt. It sounds like, yes, it's growing. The numbers are impossible to ignore, but not a worry point for you. Why not?
Yeah, I think it definitely is something to watch. But to me, what's most important is that the kind of outcomes they can get with generative AI are still there. I think that we're looking towards agentic AI to push the productivity potential of the technology. And I think all the companies that we talked to over the last few months, no one's taking their foot off the gas pedal. I mean, it's an absolute imperative investment. And I think you've got new companies that are doing new ways of building companies. And then you've got the existing companies that need to adapt to the environment in order to stay competitive. So to me, I think that I'm looking for all these use cases that weren't around over the last few years and that are going to be driving spend going forward.
There are so many ways, I think, to play the AI trade. How are you looking at the different pieces of it? And can you sort of segment for us? Are there areas of more opportunity at this point in where we are and what AI can actually give us?
Yeah, so I think that one is that the compute platforms are going to continue to be the building blocks of the technology. And so I think NVIDIA is the platform. I think you also have parts of memory like NAND and DRAM. So NAND, there's going to be a lot more storage of the data, both real world data and synthetic data. So you're seeing bottlenecks appear there, and I think that the industry has consolidated in NAND specifically, and so there's areas to play there. So I think that it's going to be a multi-year investment, and I think we are still early in the S curve of adoption. And if you think about usage of ChatGPT, large language models, I think people are getting a tremendous amount of value. And when you're looking at the engagement and the potential of this technology, I still think it's there to drive a lot of potential disruption too.
Seema was on just before, and hopefully you're able to hear some of her report, but she discussed, Oracle's 5-year default credit swap volume rising exponentially in the last week, potentially some worries about its aggressive debt financing. What do you make of that one in particular?
Yeah, so I think that, it is up, but off of a pretty low base. And so I think it's definitely something to watch. I think at the same time, Oracle, the leverage is manageable. And I think that if you think about this new type of financing, it probably is novel, but over the long term, I do think that people are going to recognize that these GPUs, the useful lives are not really probably 3 years. It's probably more 5 to 6 years. And when they're running, they're generating a lot of profit. And I think we're going to go from this idea of we're just building and ordering GPUs to how much profit can you get from each GPU? Are the tokens profitable? And we cross that threshold, they become more self-sustaining. So what I'm looking for is the unit economics actually improving. And it's not going to be a straight line, but I think that is important enough that that companies are going to figure out a way to drive more usage and drive better productivity for their businesses.
Obviously, your fund has had a nice performance, but when I look at some of the performances individually, Palantir still jumps out at me at up 139% year to date. I know it's pulled back a little bit. AMD up 115% year to date, which then brings up that whole conversation about valuation. If you're not currently in those names, is it too rich to get in now?
Yeah, well, look, I think that we're still early in this investment cycle. And, with those two names, I think Palantir, for example, they're really at the leading edge of implementing AI for companies. And, you've got companies that are spending $80 billion with them. I mean, $80 million. And so, that's a tremendous amount. I think they're driving a lot of value for their clients because they're able to essentially have an ontology that their clients can plug and play AI a little bit more and connect their data. And so I think that, this kind of paradigm is a new shift. And I think with AMD, the market is really growing at an exponential rate. And I think that with what AMD is building, they're going to have a segment of the market, and their development with OpenAI kind of strengthens that. So, I think there's a lot of exciting things that these companies can do. And if they can deliver, I think there's a place for them.